JobMaker will only create 45,000 jobs. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this Guardian article about JobMaker apparently creating only 10% of the genuine additional jobs that Treasury or the coalition are hoping for. Now, I can't say I'm surprised. So the department estimates 45,000 jobs out of the government's previously boasted 450,000 will actually be created by the youth hiring. Now, JobMaker gives credits every week for someone if you hire, depending on how young they are. $200 or $100 a week, which can help a little bit, can make a difference to get someone on the job. But that doesn't alleviate any of the other challenges and responsibilities that are involved in taking on staff or workers. That's another whole other part of it, which I've spoken to many people in business can be one of the most frustrating and challenging parts of being in business. What's particularly difficult is if you hire someone and they're not really working at the level they, professed they would. Let's see, getting rid of them can be a difficult process and a costly process, and there's a risk involved in that. So every time you hire someone, there's a risk involved. Usually it works out fine, there's no problems, but still. And then, I'll sit and talk to people who entirely outsource their entire business, who don't even hire anyone in this country. That's not a good thing. That's showing you where the government intervention in the market results in innovation. And that innovation results in less employment opportunities for Australians. We were competing with firms where all the drafting will be done overseas. And for drafting as an architect is a way to cut your teeth in the game. Sadly, those opportunities are disappearing. So, the coalition's youth wage subsidy will create 45,000 genuinely additional jobs, just 10% of the 450,000 number boasted by Frydenberg on budget night, according to Treasury. Treasury officials revealed the conservative estimated benefit of the JobMaker hiring credit on Monday, ahead of a snap inquiry to spark calls of legislated safeguards to the program. The hiring credit is the last major plank of the budget's economic measures yet to pass Parliament, after Labor waved through income tax cuts and business tax concessions. But despite 98 billion of new spending to boost the Australian economy, questions remain about whether the measures will be enough to cut short the recession. Well, they don't really cut short the recession. They just spread out the pain even further. It's kicking the can down the road. On Monday, the Treasury Secretary, Stephen Kennedy, advised there is room for the federal government to spend more on fiscal stimulus if required. The JobMaker hiring credit would pay employers $200 a week for each additional employee they hired aged 16 to 29, and $100 a week for those aged 30 to 35. Now, my understanding is that you can't actually discriminate based on age. But can you now? But still, if you're over 35, you should be worth that $100 a week extra. Your skill base should be there at that $100 a week. Honestly, it's not that much. $200 a week for someone 16 to 29, that could take the tinge off them. What this is telling us is that, the minimum wages for entry-level positions are too high. So they are pricing people out of the market. If you've got no skills, you can get priced out of the market. This is where some of these interventions, these artificial limits on the price of labor, can really have the greatest negative impact on those that just can't get in there. So if you're taking advantage of this, everyone, you've got a duty of care and responsibility to provide for those that don't have the level of skill to even enter the market, because you've benefited from the situation. On budget night, Frydenberg said Treasury estimates that this will support around 450,000 jobs for young people. It'll support them, not create them. On Monday, Jenny Wilkinson, the Deputy Secretary of Treasury's Fiscal Group, told Senate estimates it was very hard to judge whether businesses would hire a new employee anyway, or will have done so only because of the hiring credit. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you're in business. Would this encourage you to hire someone as opposed to normally taking them on? I don't know. I don't think it'd be enough. I don't think it'd be enough. It depends on your situation. And you're probably going to hire them anyway if you need them. It's just free money. And we just saw earlier today the example of the arts and craft, or the art and craft shop, which is in liquidation now, but was kept afloat thanks to JobKeeper. All they're doing is just pushing the pain further down the road. They're not allowing the market to adjust. They're not allowing natural prices to be established in the market because there's no political will for that. In costing this, we've made a conservative assumption that about 10% of employment is genuinely additional. It would not have happened but for the hiring credit, she said. A significant proportion are going to be additional. Wilkinson added, there were very wide margins of error on the estimate. Well, yeah, they're just literally taking a guess. International studies suggest wage subsidies can create close to zero additional jobs, up to 30%, depending on design and economic context. What they should do is that they should drop minimum wages and then reduce taxes, reduce the tax-free threshold to offset that impact. So people, there's less burden on businesses, and then people have more money in their pocket. The market can adjust. But that, can you imagine that getting through? Can you imagine people understanding and appreciating that here in Australia? No. They'll just tax people more, then the money will flow through the inefficiencies of the government, then be handed back to businesses, rather than having more money in the worker's pocket. Or rather than just adjusting the tax, stopping taking that tax and dropping wages lower. It's just anyway. It's more of the same, isn't it? I can't say I'm surprised. Labor's Shadow Employment Minister, Brendan O'Connor, said the evidence meant that the $4 billion program is set to create $45,000 jobs, costing nearly $90,000 per job. $90,000 per job. He called on Frydenberg to explain the discrepancy between his inflated job numbers claimed compared to Treasury's estimates. This government is all about announcements but fails on delivery. The hiring credit has copped criticism from unions, Labor and the Greens, who warn it does nothing to help older workers and could even see them laid off by employers hoping to gain payments. Yeah, that's a legitimate concern. That's a legitimate concern coming from the unions, Labours and the Greens, 100%. There's going to be age discrimination, guys. And if you get, you're my age, I'm about to hit 40, I'll be less, I'm not young and hip. Once you hit 45, it just gets harder. It just gets harder to find work. The Greens will amend the bill to prevent employers sacking existing staff to claim the subsidy, on top of the government's unlegislated safeguards that employers must increase their head count and payroll to claim payments. O'Connor has, okay, quick. Everyone hurry, run now, fire everyone, and then restart. O'Connor has also hinted at potential amendments from Labor, although it will be difficult for the opposition to stand in the way of a stimulus program if the government does not take up its suggestions. In its review of budget measures, the Parliamentary Library has warned JobMaker hiring credits could have potentially distortionary displacement effects. Oh, really? Really? Come on. These include the risks of hiring younger workers at the expense of others who are ineligible, and deadweight effects of paying employers for workers they would have hired anyway. Well, I mean, that's always going to happen every time the government intervenes in the market. It happens all the time, every day. No one seems to care. Or no one seems to understand. Everyone just people are only short-sighted, only want their little slice of that government pie. Wilkinson defended the scheme, noting that businesses who received subsidies for jobs they would have created anyway could make decisions to hire someone else or to invest. The hiring credit provides additional support in terms of what they want to do to support the economy. I'd rather you cut taxes more and then cut government services that we don't need. Cut inefficiencies. Try and lean down this government on all levels. Maybe we should have it come down from the federal level that, councils only need to focus on like 2 or 3 things. Really just trim them back too. What do you reckon? The Finance Minister, Matthias Cormann, said the program was targeted at young people because they would find it harder to reconnect to jobs, and government wanted to avoid a new generation of long-term unemployed. And I understand exactly where they're coming there, because that's the risk. That is the big risk. If you've been working for years and you've got skills, I mean, okay, it's going to be unfair, but life is unfair. You're probably nearing retirement anyway, or hopefully. Who are we kidding? Retirement's never going to happen. But if we have a generation scarred economically from working, then you've got the risk of multi-generational poverty. Older people have a long track record and demonstrated employability. They'll find it comparatively easy to find work, so they won't need the same level of support and incentivization, he said. Earlier, Kennedy told Senate estimates that although the budget had resulted in a sharp rise in debt, Australia's fiscal policy remains sustainable. Sure it does, because interest rates are low and debt levels still below other advanced economies. So that's the thing, because our cash rate is so low, and because we're not doing as bad as other countries in the world, they're saying we can keep going on with it. Maybe we can, but then what is the incentive? They need to bring more people and more investment in from overseas. That's what we're gonna. I suspect that's what we're gonna see next year, guys, to prop up property. The current and projected debt levels would enable additional targeted and temporary fiscal support measures to be adopted should they be required, he said. Kennedy has consistently argued that during the recession, unemployment is a bigger problem than debt. The Reserve Bank of Australia has similarly given the government the green light for further spending by noting debt levels are manageable. So there we have it. I can't say I'm surprised at the estimates that it'll only create 10% new jobs. What do you think? Do you think this is a good idea, everyone? Do you think the young people need that support? And is this the level of debt that the government should take on to ensure that generation doesn't end up suffering from scarring with regard to the workplace? Or do you rather the government just stepped out and didn't get involved? Or should we reduce the minimum wages and then offset that impact with an increase to the tax-free threshold to kind of, let the market employ more people? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.